What is the IQ tax? Simply put, it means that when we are faced with temptation and fear, our IQ instantly disappears. When we add ignorance and impulsiveness to the mix, it's easy for us to spend a lot of money and become a fool. Did you know that? Many people don't. In fact, when there is a flood of information and more choices, those who think they're smart and confident are more likely to lose. Have you ever felt that? When you think you're smart and calculating, you pay more IQ tax and waste more time and money. How often have we thought we were smart and ended up making stupid decisions? In life, overconfidence often causes us to overlook potential risks, and we end up paying a much higher price. That's what I've come to realize. The best way to avoid paying the IQ tax is to remain humble and vigilant. Every time you think you're smart, you have to remind yourself not to be fooled by appearances. The worst thing in life is to think you're smart and not realize you're paying the IQ tax. Use your ears, protect your eyes. For the next 11 minutes, Audible Wisdom brings you the best of the best from the IQ tax. The smarter you are, the more you suffer. You'll get the essence of a book in a short amount of time. Let's build a life of wisdom and wealth. The IQ tax. The smarter you are, the more you lose, is an in-depth look at human intelligence and decision-making, and very interesting book. Not only does it reveal our weaknesses in the face of temptation, fear, and information overload, it also offers strategies to help us avoid becoming someone else's ATM. The author, Gordon, is a behavioral economist and psychologist known for his humor and insight. His research spans the fields of human behavior, decision-making, and deception. Professor Gordon's ability to communicate complex theories in an easy-to-understand manner has made his work very popular. Today we're going to talk about a problem we all face. We've all made mistakes in our shopping, our investments, our lives that cost us money. It seems that people with higher IQs are more likely to fall into these traps. Let's improve our decision-making in 4 ways. Learn to think rationally and don't become someone else's ATM. Let's start by understanding what the IQ tax is. The IQ tax sounds a bit like a tax, but it's actually a phenomenon that we all encounter in our daily lives. You walk into a store and see an item that's on sale. Your brain starts working. This is a great opportunity, I should buy it. That's when your IQ can be affected by taxes. Here are 4 ways the IQ tax manifests itself. Let's see which one is the easiest to fall into. The first is temptation. You're tempted by a special offer, and you want to buy it right away. It's like your IQ has been taxed and you can't function properly. Many merchants use special prices to attract customers. But in reality, the special offer may not be a real deal. It's just a way to get you to buy. The second is fear. You're afraid you'll miss the opportunity, so you're more eager to act. This fear is often called formal fear of missing out, and it causes you to make irrational decisions. The third is ignorance. You may not know the true value of an item and think it's a good deal just because it's on sale. If you don't know the true value of the item, you may be easily confused by false offers and make unwise purchasing decisions. The fourth type is impulse. You decide to buy the item without taking the time to think about whether you really need it. Impulse buying often leads us to buy things we don't need and spend money on things we don't want. As a result, you may end up buying something you don't really need, and you're getting screwed. That's what the IQ tax is all about. In the face of temptation, fear, and information overload, our intelligence can be taxed, causing us to make unwise decisions. Next, let's get some insight. Why does information overload make us more irrational consumers? With the growth of the internet, we are inundated with information every day. From social media to news ads to apps, we're faced with more and more choices, and that can be a trap. Say you're looking for a new mobile phone. You open your browser and start searching. You're inundated with information about brands, models, features, reviews, prices, and more. You confidently start comparing phones, thinking you've got all the knowledge you need. But traps are everywhere. Have you ever encountered these 3 phenomena? The first phenomenon is difficulty in choosing. Because there's so much information out there, you start to hesitate. Each brand has its advantages and disadvantages. Each model has its own features. You don't know what to choose, so you're stuck in the paradox of choice. This is a classic example of the paradox of choice. When faced with too many choices, we find it difficult to make a decision and often feel confused and uncertain. The explosion of information in our modern society has increased the number of choices available to us, making it even more difficult for us to make decisions. Difficulty making decisions is not only a waste of time, it can also lead to decision fatigue. It can lead to decision fatigue, which makes us more anxious and uncomfortable when we finally make a decision. The second phenomenon is overconfidence. You think you know the pros and cons of all the phones out there. But in reality, you may have only seen the tip of the iceberg and missed some important information, or been misled by some less than reputable reviews. This is the result of misinformation. It's easy to be overconfident that we have all the information we need, but in reality, we're only seeing part of the picture, even the wrong information. Overconfidence often leads us to overlook potential problems and risks. Information bias can cause us to overestimate our judgment and decision-making ability, which can ultimately lead to poor decisions. The third phenomenon is information overload. Your brain starts to get confused because there's too much information. You get tired and you may even give up on a purchase. Cell phones are a classic example of information overload. When there's more information than our brains can process, we get tired and anxious, and our ability to make decisions is greatly diminished. Information overload not only affects our decision-making process, it also has a negative impact on our mental health. Chronic information overload can lead to increased stress and distraction, and even affect the quality of our work in our lives. Let's also talk about an invisible force around us: psychological manipulation. This may sound like some kind of conspiracy, but in reality, it's everywhere in our lives. Have you ever been in a shopping situation? You walk into a mall and a salesman enthusiastically sells you a product, claiming it's a limited time special or an exclusive offer. You're tempted, you think it's a rare opportunity, and you're willing to pay for it. At this point, you've been psychologically manipulated. First, there's the emotion. The salesperson will use emotional language to make you feel a sense of urgency, excitement, or loss. For example, this is an opportunity you can't afford to miss. Or if everyone else has already bought it, you don't want to miss out. These words play on our sense of urgency and fear of missing out. They stimulate our emotions and cause us to make impulsive decisions. Second, there's social pressure. If you're shopping and you see someone else buying the same thing, you feel like you should follow suit. It's a kind of psychological manipulation. It makes you feel like everyone else is buying it and I should buy it too. It's a classic example of the herd effect. We're often influenced by the behavior of others to believe that the majority is making the right choice. Finally, information overload. Advertisements, promotions, discounts, and other information are constantly flooding your brain and confusing you. You begin to question your own judgment and become easily manipulated. Information overload reduces our cognitive abilities and makes it difficult to make rational decisions. When faced with an abundance of information, we're tempted to lose our judgment. That's why we should be wary of people or organizations that try to manipulate us. Don't easily believe the so-called limited time offers and think rationally. In addition, our lives are full of traps and temptations. These can cause us to spend money unwisely and make unwise decisions. There are 4 ways we can strengthen our mental defenses to avoid becoming someone else's ATM. The first is to tweak our thinking. This is about adjusting the way we think so that we can stay alert when we're faced with temptation. When you're shopping, when you see an item on sale, you ask yourself, is this really what I need? Or can I find a better deal? Don't believe everything you see in ads. Advertisements always exaggerate. They want you to spend money, but the reality may be different. This is where we must learn to analyze the real advantages and disadvantages of buying a certain product instead of being swayed by emotions. Whenever you make a decision to buy something, take some time to reevaluate whether you really need it or not. The second is critical thinking. This is the ability to question existing opinions and information. If an advertisement claims to be a must-have, you can ask yourself if it's really an absolute or if there's an alternative. Verify information. Don't trust just one source. Check multiple sources to make sure the information is true. Cultivate the habit of questioning yourself and not following authority or popular opinion. This will enable you to make more objective decisions through your own analysis and judgment. The third is self-reflection. This means that we should always look at our decisions and reflect on the choices we've made. If you find that you've bought a lot of things you don't need, You can ask yourself what I was thinking or if I could have made a better choice. Through reflection, we can identify the flaws in our decisions and avoid making similar mistakes in the future. We can learn from our mistakes and gradually improve our decision-making skills. Continuous improvement, constantly adjusting and optimizing our thinking and decision-making patterns. The fourth method is rational decision-making. This means that we use reason to guide our behavior when making decisions, rather than being swayed by emotion. If you see a limited time offer, don't rush into action. Calm down and think about whether you really need the item. Determine your needs and budget before you go shopping, and stick to them without letting other temptations derail your plans. Give yourself enough time to think before making important decisions and avoid emotional impulses. That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Subscribe now, like and share. Let more people see this video if they need to.